They say he was a philosopher, a teacher, a curious old man who asked too many questions. But that's a bedtime story for academics. The truth? Socrates was a rebel, a disruptor, a mind bomb waiting to detonate. He wasn't spreading knowledge, he was dismantling illusions. In a city that prided itself on democracy, art, and wisdom, Socrates exposed the rot under the marble. And he did it without an army, without a single written word, without wealth, title, or even a proper pair of sandals. His weapon was sharp, silent, and unstoppable: the question. He didn't teach in temples, he didn't charge a single drachma. He wandered through markets and gymnasiums like a ghost with teeth. He asked merchants about fairness, generals about courage, poets about beauty, and when they answered, he sliced their words apart like a surgeon cutting through fat to reach the bone. And always, always he left them in ruins. The rich, the powerful, the wise collapsed under the weight of their own contradictions. This wasn't curiosity, it was intellectual warfare, and he was winning. To truly understand how dangerous Socrates was, you have to understand Athens. This was the birthplace of democracy, yes, but also of vanity, corruption, and performative virtue. Politicians gave flowery speeches about justice, priests spoke of the gods, generals gave oaths of honor, but most of them didn't believe a word of it. Athens was a city built on image, and Socrates shattered that image with every conversation. He didn't believe in reputation, he didn't believe in tradition. He believed in truth, and truth alone. And that made him a threat. Because Socrates taught the youth not to obey, but to question, not to follow, but to think. His students didn't come to him for facts. They came to unlearn the lies they'd been fed since birth. He didn't give answers. He ripped the comfort from their minds and made them rebuild everything from the ground up. He made them dangerous, free-thinking, disobedient, in a society where power rested on obedience. That wasn't education, it was revolution. And Athens knew it. They watched this filthy, stubborn old man breed chaos without lifting a finger. He never touched a weapon, but ideas, he wielded them like daggers. Every question was a blade, every silence a trap. And while the ruling class scoffed at his poverty, they feared his power. Because Socrates wasn't just questioning truth, he was questioning their truth. The truth they used to rule, to exploit, to survive. Then came the war. Athens lost its long, bloody conflict with Sparta. The economy crumbled. The city's pride was broken. And in the ruins they needed someone to blame. Someone who had corrupted the youth, who made citizens question tradition, who whispered heresies about gods and morals and politics. Socrates was the perfect scapegoat. Not because he was guilty, but because he was right. In 399 BCE, the charges were clear: impiety and corrupting the youth. But everyone knew what this was really about: revenge. Socrates had embarrassed the powerful year after year. He had exposed their lies, their empty words, their weak minds. And now, they would bury him. He stood in court, surrounded by enemies and sycophants, and didn't beg. He didn't apologize. He said he would rather die than stop asking questions. He claimed the gods themselves had given him his mission. He told the judges that death didn't scare him, but silence did. And when the verdict came, guilty. He didn't cry, he smiled. And when they handed him the cup of hemlock, he drank it slowly, like a final sermon in poison. But here's what Athens didn't realize. You can execute a man, but you can't kill a method. The Socratic method, relentless, surgical questioning, survived him. Want more forbidden truths that schools won't touch and history books won't print? Smash that subscribe button, because when questions become weapons, philosophy becomes revolution.